Richard Spencer's already here. He's quite punctual, usually. He's been on the show so many times. He's almost always punctual, but he's been on so many times that I can't remember once or twice that he was late, but not very late. Let me go ahead and switch over here. No, I'm late almost every time. Almost every time we talk, so I can't really say anything. But Richard, how's it going, man? Welcome back to the KILLSTREAM.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're
there. Good. I had an echo there for a moment. It's off now. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, 100%.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's been so we had you on, I think in May with the Sticks debate, maybe was the last time we had you on. And that was our last debate. We didn't do another debate until the other day, I think. So that kind of held us over there for a minute. Let me replay this one super chat, and then we'll pause them, and we'll have a point where we come in and do some super chats, maybe in like 15, 30 minutes, something like that. But this one came on while we were starting up.
Giga Ninja sent $3. Fuck. I failed no Ralph November.
Oh, no.
I got too bricked up in day one and couldn't help myself. Richard, you're kinda a fag, but I enjoy your appearances. Come to Ralphomania January 14th in Woodbury, New Jersey.
I'll take that as a compliment.
I was going to say, you know what? I think that was a compliment. If you enjoy the appearances, it's a compliment for me. That's all I care about. All right, and then there's one more. Chagget.
Davidson $3. Chagget attends the Richard Spencer fireside chats.
Now what are these?
Chagget.
Now what are these fireside chats? Do you have those or?
Oh well, I think he's responding to this. I have a little fireplace here.
Oh yeah,
so.
You're right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, Chagget is a big fan of yours. Do you know Chagget at all? Have you seen him around? You know Chagget.
Oh, I know who he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know?
He can annoy me on occasion, but
he's generally
a big fan.
Yeah,
he acts in good faith, from what I can tell.
Yes, I agree with that, and he can be annoying. That's true, but I take him as not a bad guy. I'm trying to find the clip of me macing him at the King. Have you ever seen that?
Yes. Yeah, sometimes I've wanted to mace him.
All right, you know what? If you've already seen it, I don't need to play it. I didn't know that had reached your desk.
Oh, yeah. It reached my desk. Yeah.
All right, well, you know what? What have you been up to since May?
Summer was a lot of fun and just doing a lot of kid stuff and things like that. So that takes up a lot of my time and energy, although it's worthwhile. Sure. And really getting to the end of Mark Brauman's book, and that. It's been an amazing project, but also really kind of frustrating one, but in a good way, in the sense that we're really developing something good. So I've been working hard at that and doing some other kind of writing projects that are kind of slowly building, and was just writing a little bit on the affirmative action thing this morning. So I don't know if there were oral arguments in the Supreme Court about affirmative action. I think it became quite clear that it's going to be overturned.
So what?
Some of these decisions.
I stream all the time. We weren't really covering that, but I did see. I see something pass by, and I knew they had those oral arguments, and I saw that apparently, I don't know if this is true or if you heard them. Perhaps you did, but apparently Sonia Sotomayor completely embarrassed herself she thought de facto was de jure or something like that, and then she just rolled with her mistake. That's all I read on Twitter, and I didn't actually hear it. I don't know if that's true or if you heard it.
Don't you get the impression when you hear these lawyers and Supreme Court justices that they've kind of checked all the boxes in their life? It's like they studied for every test. They didn't rock the boat. They, if they published anything, it, was this fastball right down the middle. You're not going to offend anyone kind of thing. I don't know. I've just never, it's not like they're unintelligent or something, but I don't think we've had an intellectual on the Supreme Court since Oliver Wendell Holmes, where this guy is really thoughtful about what he says. I think a lot of these are kind of box checker types, those people who just annoy you. in college.
Yeah, well, and especially nowadays to get to the Supreme Court.
They might not be that intelligent. She might, I could see her messing. But anyway, on the other hand, everyone messes up with stuff, so you can't
Well, a lot of times back in the old days, it would be a great legal wit or a great mind, who made it to the Supreme Court. And now, they're trying to hide their record most of their career or hide the most controversial parts. And, they don't, to me, they're not as great as the intellects we used to have. Not that they were all great, people or great choices either for the Supreme Court, but they just seemed like they just had more freedom.
They're just more interesting people. We live in a particular kind of meritocratic society where it's about a base level of intelligence and then like box checking, like your resume is just perfect. And it brings us like a particular kind of person that I do find annoying, and that is quite susceptible to like groupthink and things like that. But they're just not very impressive. I wouldn't say that, like Tucker Carlson, like they're all idiots or like they actively trying to destroy America. That's like not right, but they're not really impressive people. They're not people you really admire too much. Although I do agree with the Supreme Court on the affirmative action stuff. And I think there are some kind of interesting things that were opened up in the arguments. I listened to about 2 hours of oral arguments. It was fun.
Yeah, you know what? I may have seen that tweet actually on your feed about the Sonia Sotomayor. I don't know how I saw that, but it popped up. And I almost went and looked it up. I didn't have time. So I just chuckled at it and moved on. But Supreme Court, what do you think about...
She's not a Latinx, apparently.
Yeah. Plus, if you've ever heard her talk, she's not very impressive at all. Yeah. Like, I mean...
Joke.
Not that she... No, I know that for sure. I know you were making a joke.
Latinx who doesn't know Latin.
She's kind of, I won't say moron. She's not a moron, but she's not a leading light, you would say, if you heard her give a... she doesn't have the it factor, really. She got there because her name's Sonia Sotomayor. That's how she got in the Supreme Court. Not that she's a moron, but she's affirmative action.
There are hundreds of lawyers who are probably more intelligent and insightful than she is that weren't appointed to the Supreme Court. And some of them weren't appointed because they're kind of controversial. Because they have a personal take on things that, they go out on a limb and things like that. And it's like, oh, we can't do that. We need this box checker, basically. And I think it is pretty depressing, actually.
It is. And then, you get to the hearings and a lot of times they have to lie to get through. And you come back and they said this to one person. And of course they probably did lie. Like, God forbid anybody have a real opinion or be an actual, intellect or speak freely. We got to, have all this subterfuge to get them through the subcommittee. And I don't know. It is kind of ridiculous at the end of the day. But what do you think about Roe v. Wade, the fallout from that? How do you think it's going to play out next week at the polls?
Well, I think the Republicans are going to probably win.
It's looking like that now, isn't it? It's looking like it might be a bloodbath next Tuesday.
It might be a bloodbath, or I think at best a kind of mixed bag. But I'm almost sensing, when it rains, it pours, or when like a football team, it's like they're losing, and then like everything bad happens. They like, oh, and then next thing you know, there's a fumble. And then next thing you know, their quarterback gets hurt. Next thing you know, there was they couldn't hear the play. It's just like one thing after another. There seems to be this like logic of the cosmos that when it rains, it pours, basically. And I'm sensing Republican victory, basically. It just seems like everything's kind of going, like the Roe v. Wade thing was real because it's interesting. I didn't even know that public opinion was like this. 75% of the public is against affirmative action, which is kind of interesting, actually.
I didn't realize it was that high. I knew it was above 50, and
it's like 80% of whites, and then it's even large amounts of people of color and things like that, and even liberals. Like they just don't like it. It's just kind of grating. It's just obviously unfair. Everyone kind of gets it on that issue, but also 75% of the public liked Roe v. Wade. Effectively, 75% said we don't want to overturn this, and so I did feel like this was something for the Democrats, but and it did kind of play out, in that Kansas referendum and all that kind of stuff, but. it seems to have waned. And the big thing is just, wow, things are just fucking expensive. I mean, your checking account just depletes. You can't even quite judge it or something like that. It's just, you just have less money. And I think that's basically it. And the whole kind of like midterm, whoever's in power, his people get complacent, they don't come out, and he gets knocked off. This has happened so many times. It's like a law of physics, basically. It happened to Roosevelt. It's happened to everyone. Kennedy was an exception. George W. Bush was an exception in 2002, when everyone was geared up on the terror war and all that kind of stuff. And but then he got knocked off in 2006. So it just seems this is just setting up for that kind of thing. But even just little things like the Fetterman stuff, I mean, you just see that, and it seems like everything is kind of like the dominoes are falling in one way. You see that and you're like, oh my God. I mean,
it was a disaster. How could they have even let that happen? First off, I mean, it used to be back in the day. Look, let's just be honest. If you had a stroke, you would bow to the race, right? And if you get well and you're able to run again later on, that's one thing. But he's clearly not fully there.
Yeah,
right?
It's a serious issue. I mean, the guy was not particularly scintillating even when he was healthy, and he was kind of like, is he completing a thought in what he's saying, or is he just like grumbling audibly? Like the guy is not, it's talking about not being very impressive. He's not very interesting or impressive or anything like that. And but that was just a complete catastrophe. I mean, yeah, you can argue like, oh, he'll get better or something, but it's like, to say that this isn't significant or that voters shouldn't pay attention to this or something. I mean, give me a break. That's absurd. Like, it's just the thought that we should have a like automaton. And I know we have a bunch of like delusional, senile, octogenarians in the Senate. Like, I get that, but like, just the idea that like we should be okay with that.
Well, how is that the new? Like how could you even say that with a straight face that doesn't come into play? It's like, well, on the day of the election, he's not really fit to serve, quite frankly.
No.
And how is that not an issue? I mean, it's. I don't know. To me, it's fundamental issue, really. And then you see even, I didn't even think this was possible a few weeks ago, but Herschel Walker might even pull it out in Georgia. It's like,
yeah. Well, again, Herschel Walker's the same fucking thing. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't vote for someone who is less intelligent than like an 8th grader.
Would you take Fetterman or Walker?
Walker.
Yeah.
They're similar.
Close, but Walker. Yeah, I'd have to take Walker. At least he can,
You got to complete a sentence. You got to have a thought process. I mean, I'm sorry. No.
But yeah, I don't know. You're right. A month ago, it looked like they were in good position, but it's kind of just tailed off since then. And I think, again, it does, like you said, I mean, the inflation's just out of control. And everything costs more. Everybody's feeling this from pretty much almost the top to the bottom. But especially middle class and below is really getting squeezed by this, gas and everything. But it's not just gas. It's everything is high.
It's groceries.
Right, like 30 to 50% higher. And you can't not feel
Restaurants only increase like 10%. Groceries increase like, 20, 30%. Yes. It's just, it's
groceries are insane. So you think the GOP is going to take the House and Senate next week, or do you?
I did a little, I think I did a space on this and I did some other things, and I basically predicted a mixed bag where the Democrats would like get to 51, 49, and then the GOP would take the Senate. I think it's going to be a red wave kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be like this monumental realignment or something like that, but there's just these built-in advantages to basically being kind of more of a rural party, where for the Democrats to gain seats in the House, according to one thing that a study that I read, they would need actually like 56 to 57% of the generic ballot, because the GOP just has a built-in advantage. I mean, for God's sake, Wyoming has 2 senators. California has 2 senators. Wyoming has 500,000 people. California has 60. Well, how many do they have? 40, 60 million? I don't know. A lot. And it's just kind of like the whole thing is kind of skewed in terms of districting, et cetera, for a rural party to maintain power. And so I don't see it. I mean, you could argue like back in May that after Roe v. Wade, that it's like, all right, Democrats, they're mad. They're like all the suburban wine moms are just going to come out in the street and like marching. You could make that argument, but it seems to have kind of faded. And so I just don't see them turning out vote like that. And the GOP, I mean, I've told this story before. I mean, I don't know if I told it on your show, but so this was this past Palm Sunday. And I went down to Kalispell, so I live in Whitefish, which is kind of a ski resort town. Right. And then Kalispell is, blue collar, but I mean, it's nice. I like it, but more real America. And so I went down there, and this was, this past spring. And there was this, I saw this car with like a pirate flag on the back of it. And he was like honking his horn and like revving his engine. And then I went into downtown Kalispell to park to go to, meet someone for dinner actually. And there was this car doing like donuts or wheelies or whatever, like loud. And he had a Confederate flag and an American flag and like a Trump thing. I was like, what is going on here? This is like Mad Max and like Kalispell, which is this like kind of, I mean, nice, but kind of boring, sleepy town. And then I talked to this like wine mom on the sidewalk, and I was like, what is going on here? And she's like, it's the Trump people. Like they do this every Friday. It wasn't Palm Sunday. It was the Friday.
Good Friday.
The, crucifixion.
Good Friday, isn't it?
Good Friday. Thank you. And they do this every Friday, and they were just going nuts. It was like drag racing in this like sleepy town, and I was like, oh my God. And then while I was walking out, this is just a little context. So I was dressed in let's just say a kind of hip manner. I was wearing I cranked out the black leather jacket, cool. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And this little car pulled up to me, and the guy got out of his car and he said, fuck Joe Biden, fuck the liberals. And then he got back in his car and drove off. And I was standing there. I was like, I'm the Hail Trump guy. I was like, I don't think he knew who I was. I think he just saw, he was just assumed. Hiply dressed, like must be liberal. Thus we must harass in public. And, but like, I tell you the story to prove the point that like these guys, this was random. They were like doing rallies on a Friday and on a religious holiday, which might even be kind of significant as well. The fact that they don't even care about this stuff. They're just like, yeah, Trump, Jesus Christ. This was the day he won. Yeah. He beat up the Romans like that day. He was like, ass kicker. I know. Sorry, I'm going wild here, but
rock bottom to the Romans.
Anyway, there's the power of belief, and they're motivated even in the spring of 2022. And you just look at that. No one's paying them to do this. The GOP is not sponsoring this event, and they are this like intense. And so, yeah, I look at stuff like that and I'm like, it kind of adds up. Yeah,
I think so. And then, Democrats traditionally struggle in midterms anyway. And that on top of everything else, if you're a betting man, I'd say the Republicans are going to do really well next week. Yeah. Now, you mentioned Trump. What do you think about his chances? They're talking about indictment coming down the pike, but is he going to run anyway? I think so.
He's definitely running.
Yeah. And even with an indictment hanging over his head, how will that play out?
It might encourage him to run.
Well, in my opinion, it encourages him to run because that – it's just a higher stakes game at that point. And it's like, well,
yeah. I mean, Trump back on Twitter tweeting from prison after being indicted for espionage while running. I mean, wow, that is going to be a show.
Well, they'll give him bail, but he very well might be under indictment while he's running for president. And then, do you think he can win?
I don't think he can win, because his presence will absolutely motivate, like the crazy wine moms will be out every Friday, like dousing blue collar people with wine or something, and they will be as motivated as those Trump fans are. And No, I do not think he can win. I don't know what I mean, I don't think DeSantis can win just on the pure fact that he's kind of tedious and boring, to be honest. And he's just like a diet Trump, it's like, why not just go for the real thing? Like,
I agree with that.
Yeah. And so I don't think he can win absent some, like, I don't know, hyperinflation occurs or something. Who knows? But I just don't see it. I think the left and a lot of the center will be motivated. They will definitely come out against him. It will make it extremely intense. Extremely intense and wildly entertaining.
I agree with that too. Of course, I could ask what he thinks going to happen as a result of that. That's getting a little bit further since he hasn't even declared yet. What's going to be the aftermath of the election?
His last rally, he said, like, everything now is terrible under the communist regime of Joe Biden. And he's like, I changed it before and I might have to do it again.
But it sucks, though. He's right, though. Things do suck, though, right? Like, I mean, he's not wrong when he says that, right?
True.
Now, you could go into why or how or did he play a part, but, like, I mean, things undoubtedly just completely suck right now. All right, let me play these. There's a few super chats. Go ahead.
Boogly Woogly sent $3. I'm starting to understand to an extent why Dickie became a libtard after seeing BA fags. Niggers with on the Jews and their lies in German as their banner rationalizing following a Zionist pederast because book make me feel good.
Book maybe. Okay, we heard that one.
No.
I don't know.
What is... sent $3.
No, Boogly Woogly.
I'm starting to understand.
Stop. All right, hold on.
Okay.
Thank you, Boogly Woogly. All right, now there was this one.
Giga Ninja sent $3. I kid Richard. I liked your chat with Nick the other day. It's great to have dissenting views and opinions. Will you be at Ralphomania January 14th in Woodbury, New Jersey? Don't dodge the question.
He's not scheduled to appear at my wrestling event on January 14th, but
a wrestling event.
Yeah, I'm putting on a wrestling event.
Wow,
crowning a world
like
champion.
Real wrestling.
Yeah, like actual. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I'm pretty excited about it. Killstream.live/Ralphomania, by the way. But what about your talk with Nick? We watched it on the Sunrise. About 45 minutes in a Twitter space. Back when it looked like Elon was going to let Nick stay on Twitter, but that didn't happen.
Did he actually get banned?
Yeah, they banned him.
Oh, they banned him. Okay, I think it still remains to be seen what, if anything, Elon's going to do.
You know what? I'm starting to think that it actually might be worse that Elon Musk has bought Twitter. I shouldn't say that, but the last couple of days and his harebrained schemes and the way he just turns on a dime, and it's like he doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing. He negotiated with Stephen King. At first it was going to be $20, and then he's like, how about $8? And he's actually just negotiating this shit on Twitter. It's like, dude, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with what
I am an Elon hater. I would say this, and it's not due to him kind of adopting the persona of almost like a right wing shitlord or something, which he kind of has over the past 6 months.
I'm fine with that.
There's nothing wrong. I don't care. I mean, look, it's also like you're a fucking billionaire, man. All right, and you sound like you're a teenager who listens to the Ralph Report. Like, let's no offense.
Now wait a minute.
Like you should be a little.
He should listen a little more closely, is what he should do, because he made all this noise about reinstating everybody and doing this, that, and the other, and then he came back in. First off, he did the Pelosi tweet on his own and caught a ton of blowback for that. Mm-hmm. And it's like now it's almost like he's covering for that by not unbanning everybody. I don't know. To me.
Someone actually mentioned today, they were like, I think he might ban you because then he could say like, oh, I've been banned, and like, all right, sorry, I was doing a Trump voice, like I banned the extremist Richard Spencer, he's gone, but you can talk about the laptop or something. Like I could see anything like that happening. I am a hater not because of his shitlord persona or like tweeting out about Paul Pelosi or like that was stupid, but whatever. I don't care. I think his companies are fraudulent. I really do. And not that Tesla isn't producing cars that are good, from what I understand. I've never owned one. I have driven one. But to boost a stock price where Tesla stock is worth more than the rest of the car industry combined is absurd. And all of this announcing stuff and never delivering, yeah, we're probably all guilty of that, of course. But again, it's higher stakes when he does it, like the Cybertruck or whatever. Like, you know, we're going to, granted, it's a very cool design, but it's vaporware. And like Ford produced an electronic vehicle the other day that's deliverable right now. All of this going to Mars. And I just, it strikes me as Elizabeth Holmes times 1,000. That is my impression of Elon Musk. Fraud.
Now, for those who don't know, what was the name of her company with the fake blood test?
Theranos.
Yes. Theranos, yeah, you're right. Theranos, yeah, or whatever, however you say it. There's that good HBO documentary about that, actually. The last HBO doc I think I saw was about that. And her voice, have you ever seen how she threw her voice, too, as well? To sound more
she's
like
I sounded a lot like Steve Jobs right now. And, like, I'm also hot, so, like, imagine having sex with Steve Jobs, except it's me. Like, please, we need another billion. Yeah. I mean, it was totally fraudulent. It was a mechanical Turk. I think it was Siemens, which is like a longtime German company that does blood, they do blood industrial products. And she was just taking in blood, running it through Siemens, and then a Siemens machine, I guess, and then giving out the result. I mean, it was a fraud. And like, I see a lot of this with Elon, and at the very least, there's a kind of .com bubble thing going on with Tesla where it's like, okay, he's got first mover advantage, maybe, but like an Apple car, I mean, like all these companies, Mercedes, BMW, they're doing it. Ford has a Cybertruck. Like, I just don't buy it. I mean, and so much of the Tesla stock, again, it's so much of his wealth is due to the stock price. Right. Like, he took out a massive loan that I imagine he, at least to some extent, signed on personally, but a massive loan that's basically, from what I imagine, collateralized by Tesla ownership. And so he wants to kind of boost it up by getting these Elon fans and people who, he's going to reinvent the wheel and all this kind of stuff. That can start to cascade downward. And you're going to have to pay like interest on 44 billion. And whether Twitter can reasonably produce that is questionable. And you start like doing big sell-offs of Tesla to meet interest. It's like the classic bankruptcy scenario.
I had somebody tell me on Twitter the other day, the mythos is starting to get out of control because they said, he sued to force the sale through and he tricked the board. I'm like, that's not what happened at all. Actually, he sued to get out of the deal. He got his ass absolutely handed to him by Twitter attorneys. They leaked scores of his. They didn't leak. It was in the court filings.
It was in the court filing,
scores of his direct messages with superstars and philanthropists and money men. And he made the settlement to stop more from coming out because it was about to get a lot worse for Elon, and he was going to lose. So there's no telling how many tens of millions he spent on that legal endeavor, and he lost. He didn't get a lower price. He got absolutely nothing out of it. A lot of times people do that maneuver in order to get a lower price, right? For something they over negotiated, whatever. They failed basically, and maybe they get a 5-10% cut to make them feel better. He got no cut at all.
You're buying a house and you're like, oh, look at this mold damage. I can't go in there.
That's
and then
exactly
you drop
what
the
it's
price
like.
20%.
Yes.
And the seller is like, well, whatever, like, let's just do this thing.
That's exactly what it's like. Well, he lost in every way possible, and they forced him to take it at the price that he originally said. And so this was no 5D chess. This was Elon getting his ass kicked, and he way overpaid for Twitter back when the stock market was on fire in March or April, whatever the fuck that was. And, you're right. 44 billion. I saw an analyst, they were like, it's worth maybe like 14 billion or 4.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that being said, to Elon's credit, I actually believe in Twitter.
I do too. I love Twitter. That's another reason it makes me mad because, I saw this in Elon. And look, I'm not writing it all in yet. Maybe, look, I'm still holding out some hope that he does some of these things he talked about doing. I'm not, completely mailing it in just yet. But that being said, I'm a little disappointed with what I've seen so far. And part of it is I love Twitter. I absolutely love Twitter.
It has sticking power because, like, if you're going to, for instance, when the Russian government wants to release a press release about Nord Stream, or when Joe Biden wants to discuss something about Build Back Better or whatever, or when Kanye wants to go nuts or whatever, it's all, it kind of goes through Twitter. It's the ultimate press release. It has this sticky quality that I can't imagine it really going away. And so I actually believe in Twitter, whereas something like Snapchat, I mean, it's just like, that just seems like a fad. And TikTok, I might even say hail Trump again if Trump just banned that thing. It's just like the Chinese, they're manipulating the minds of young people. Like that thing could go away due to government pressure almost like immediately, and it would be worth nothing. So I don't believe in TikTok. It's horrible. I think a lot of this stuff is fashionable and it's going to go away. I think Twitter is actually going to stick around. It's going to be this kind of weird thing, even when Facebook is going down and Meta is stupid, and I don't even know what that is, but I don't care. I think Twitter is going to kind of stay because it's the basic thing. It's like meat and potatoes. It's like McDonald's or whatever. It's just you kind of need it.
And again, I know some people in chat who are still more, more all in on with Elon than I am. And that's fine. I understand that position as well. But for one, you know what? These people need to be pushed. And if you don't push them, you'll see what you'll get. Absolutely nothing. So I take that position. And also, I'm not cashing it out just yet. Like I said, we'll see what happens. I just haven't been impressed with what I've seen so far, really. And promoting Yoel Roth, that's one of the guys he should have fired. Quite honestly,
who is he promoting?
The Yoel Roth, who runs the safety or whatever at Twitter.
Oh yeah. Well, he's made his peace with these people. I mean, there's a safety board and so on. I don't quite know what they're going to do, but it's not going to be the Wild West. I just think the 2014 Wild West is never coming back.
I wish.
I do have a certain degree of nostalgia for just the absolute insanity of the alt-right in 2016 I mean, it was totally nuts.
Yes,
and it just amazing. Sucked you in. It was kind of like Dionysian. It like you would look at this thing and you would almost get drunk by these just crazy memes and like Trump music videos where it's like this weird 80s thing or like Japanese. There was just something unbelievable about it, but it's over. And where like, there's no question in my mind as well that a lot of those people who maybe had all this kind of like hope, and there was hope mixed in with the craziness and the trolling. It just seems now to be like humorless trolling and hatred. It just
I don't think there's a lot of hope to be found on any platform or place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there somewhere, but it's kind of hard to find for good reason because everything's shit. You know what? The best I think we could hope for is maybe like 2014, 2015 era with guardrails, or you could opt into something like that. Maybe if you pay the fee, right? Like, maybe if you pay the fee, you can go to the crazy part of Twitter. I don't know. I'm just not really sure what's going to happen there. And, we'll all be following it because I'm not leaving Twitter until they kick me off.
No, I'm not leaving Twitter. I'll pay $8 a month.
But then they're selling off verified checks. Of course, I still got mine. They took yours away. They de-verified you.
I was thinking about just kind of applying again.
You should.
I want my blue check. Yeah.
Well, you deserve one anyway, honestly. But they took it away. I forgot why. I don't know if they gave you official reason or they just. It
was post Charlottesville. I'm in a way. I'm glad they didn't ban me. That's the way I took it at the time. And look, I'm not as kind of like I'm not at all in the spotlight like I was back in that time. But I have noticed my follower count just stays static.
Yeah.
And it will kind of go up and then down. Like there's a margin of like fluctuation. I lost a lot when I endorsed Joe Biden. And I'll lose a lot when I'll have some like opinion that people just can't stand. But I don't want to be like self-righteous or like, oh, I should have 1 million followers or whatever. But like, I kind of think they have guardrails on my follower. I'm just saying, like, through some
they do that for sure.
Meme.
Yeah,
and it's okay. I'm kind of glad to be there, but I suspect that is happening.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Now let me play some of these super chats. Where do we go here? Let me turn these on. As for this.
David sent $10 thoughts on U.S. running in 2024 if Trump runs.
What do you think about Ye just in general? That was going to be a topic. We'll talk about the Nick stuff some more later since that kind of turned into Twitter. But what about Ye?
Well, I mean, look, I don't like Ye's music, but because I'm not into that scene. But I will say this. I listened to the whole album of Christ is King when it was released in 2019 or whenever. And it's not my bag, baby, in the words of Austin Powers. But I do appreciate the fact that he's trying something deeper. Like I do think he's genuine in his Christianity, even if his notion of being the blood of Christ is a bit odd. So I do think he's genuine, and I do think he's trying for something bigger. So I will give him that. Saying that there are a lot of nasty Jews in the music industry, I mean, we get that, like I get it, and no one probably ultimately disagrees.
They call that the music industry.
right. And it's kind of even deeper in a way because like Hollywood is deeply Jewish, not just in a way of like a lot of the suits or Jews make up what percentage of the population, 3 or something like that. But they make up like 30 or 40% of the suits in Hollywood, doing the deals. And you can have a lot of unseen influence that way. But it's even kind of deeper than that. I mean, the Jews were at the very essence of the creation of Hollywood. And that's something that's interesting and important. And you can actually even see that reflected
they got in early
in films.
They got in early.
It's not even that they got in early. They're founders. Like they did it. They created that industry, and that's interesting. You can say I could go off on Sunset Boulevard being a kind of metaphor for that, actually. But words destroy the pagan idols of the past. But anyway, written by Billy Wilder, brilliant film.
Ready for my close-up.
Yeah, but it's like he combines. And the other aspect of this, while I'm praising him before I go off on him, he's picking up on all of this 2016 alt-right energy. So isn't it remarkable that they in a way haven't progressed past 2016? Like that, It's Okay to Be White flowering campaign or White Lives Matter. This was all 2016 alt-right stuff. And now Candace Owens and Kanye are doing it. The alt-right's been deplatformed, and Candace Owens is very mainstream. Kanye's mainstream, though, in a different way. But they're picking up on that energy, but they're not actually kind of adding to it. And so they're kind of reiterating all of this stuff that was invented by crazy, edgelords. But I would say, like, he's not just calling out the Jews maybe in the way that Kevin McDonald would like, or something like that. Although he will be treated like Kevin McDonald, he already has been. He's combining it with this notion, a kind of Black Hebrew or Black Israelite notion of we are the Jews. Like, Kanye can't be anti-Semitic because actually we're the Cushites, I guess, or we're some tribe of greater Israel, and thus we are the blood of Christ as well. It's he'll say something that is maybe a bit indisputable or is coming from his own personal experience, but he'll wrap it up in this bizarre crap. And Candace Owens will wrap up "It's okay to be white" or "White Lives Matter" in her just, sycophantic stuff. I don't, it's enveloped in that. And so I think it's powerful. And I think more things like this are going to happen, actually. I think there's going to be more Kanye craziness coming from unlikely sources. But I don't think it adds up to anything. I think it just kind of can easily be treated as mental illness and wacky nonsense. So I don't know. I actually did a whole video on it. You can find in my Substack.
Now, okay. You know what? First off, over 1,100 live. Richard always brings out the folks, no matter what. I said this a million times.
They love to hate me.
I said this a million times. Now, the thing about Kanye, though, he's talking about some shit that nobody else is talking about.
True.
Right? Like, I mean, in a way that has never really happened, ever, in my opinion. The stuff that they're denouncing him and taking away all of his money and stuff like that. So there have been some knocks for sure, but the things he said about Jewish influence, Jewish control of media, and to me, he's kind of modulated his message after the first couple of interviews, and it's not real. I wouldn't call what he's saying hateful. Now, by design and by definition, it is defined as hateful just because they're controlling the definitions, right? And that's defined if you say these certain things, that's considered hateful. But to me, saying those things aren't hateful inherently, right?
No, and they're deeply Christian. I do think that he might have a idiosyncratic version of Christianity that he believes in, but it is coming from that place, and thus it raises a whole lot of issues of what is the nature of Israel vis-a-vis Judaism. We use these words interchangeably. They're actually quite different. The greater Israel is going to include many non-Jews or people who aren't part of the tribe of Judah. So he raises interesting questions, but I'm just telling you, and I think it is an unspoken kind of issue, but I'm just telling you it's going to be dismissed as mental illness. And it could have a more powerful impact if it's coming from some place else than that.
Well, and I saw this on his video the other day, or his interview, and he mentioned that he stopped. He said that he stopped. That's how he's able to speak so clearly, that he stopped with the Jewish tricks, basically, and stopped listening to his doctor, stopped taking this medication. Now, that I believe him when he says that, by the way, because that medication can fog your mind. But I know how it's going to be twisted. As soon as I saw that, I was like, well, fuck. Yeah. They're going to say he's off his medication. He's clearly, it just feeds into, first off, I was thinking, God, why did he say that? Because they're already trying to portray him that way. And he basically said that he's not taking his medication. It's like, oh, as soon as he said that, I worried. And now they're talking about, they're openly, man, it's fucked up what they're doing to him, Richard. Like, they're openly talking about taking his kids away and maybe not even supervised visitation. Like, it's fucked up what they're doing.
Wasn't he debanked as well?
He was debanked. And then literally, we just watched it yesterday. TMZ did a segment and said, well, we don't know about visitation now, these anti-Semitic comments. It's like, really? You're going to try to keep him away from his kids?
That's very bad. What do you think he wants? Like, I mean, there's some Hebrew Israelite stuff floating around there, but like, what does he want?
Well, I thought this from the start, and I kind of thought at first there was a method. Now maybe I'm a little not so sure, but I thought there was a method to the madness, that he was kind of trying to get out of these Adidas deals, this Gap deal and all this stuff, and break those contracts. And now he's more famous, arguably, than he's ever been. You wouldn't even think that would be possible. True. You wouldn't think that would be possible. If somebody told you 6 months ago, Kanye's going to be more famous than he is now times 3 in whatever October, you wouldn't even think that would be possible. But that might be.
Nothing fames like infamy. Take it from me.
But you wouldn't even think that would be possible, but I think that it is. So I don't know. My thing is, if he could actually get some distribution going. Like I wonder if he's even going to be able to put out product. That's my only worry, is because they're really going to do everything to try to stop.
What does he really want? Like, is this? What kind of world does he want to see by doing this? Because I think he is genuinely impassioned, and I would also say I think he is absolutely sincere.
Yeah.
And thus everything he says is protected speech. I mean, he is
sure.
He is sincerely doing something, but I mean, does he want to see a Christian world? I mean, I think you kind of get that sense from his comments on like Planned Parenthood and stuff like that. Like, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't quite know, because I don't fully understand him, but I think he is a kind of expression of a kind of like new Christianity that we might see in the coming century, where a lot of the smells and bells and organized religion kind of fade away, and something like Kanyeism, as wacky as it is, to be honest, it kind of speaks true to people, and it's a kind of like primitive Christianity. That's what it's kind of what I sense about this. I think it is a sign of things to come. I don't think this is going to go away, because it wasn't just on like some stupid scandal, like the sportscaster on a hot mic using the F word or whatever, the other F word. I just remember this from, the guy, he said FAG on, I don't want to get you banned from whatever. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we can probably say it. You're on Cozy. All right. Yeah, he said like, it's the biggest fag town of them all, or so. I think he was referring to like the San Francisco Giants or so. It was just some throwaway kind of stupid comment. The guy was just like, boom, like suspended, like, lost his career. That kind of thing seems like, you slipped on a banana peel and they're going to make you pay for it. With Kanye, it's deeper and more sincere and kind of wackier, and thus I think it's much bigger. It isn't just like a middle-aged white guy slipping up and saying the Washington Redskins as opposed to the Commanders. Right. It's not something that kind of like meaningless. It's coming from a very sincere place.
Well, also he doubled down and tripled down, and he did apologize for the George Floyd comments. And then, did you hear what he said though? He said he now knows what it feels like to have a knee on his neck, is what he said during his apology, which was a line for the ages. He compared the Jewish. He's talking about the red media. He's been trying to get that to catch on. I don't know if you've seen that. He held up the chart with all the red Jewish names, and he's actually been using the phrase "red media" on Parler, which he's apparently about to purchase. He compared the red media knee to the George Floyd Chauvin knee,
and he's not fully denounced by the conservatives.
No, that's what's so like funny. Anybody else, they would be sending them to Guantanamo. Yeah, that's right.
But not fully.
Yeah, no.
And so that's why I do think this is like, I don't know where this is going to go, and I'm not on board, but it is going to go
You're not
somewhere.
on the A train? Why not? No, why not? Because it's just too...
it's just goofy. Look, there's always been this weird Christian, ambivalence, animosity / devotion vis-a-vis Judaism, and you kind of like you're dealing with this problem of worshiping Yahweh while being anti-Semitic and being saved by a Jew. I mean, I'm sorry, it's going to create a lot of ambivalence, and sometimes you can reconcile that ambivalence through like Christian identity, which is the white nationalist version, where you say basically, it's the Anglo-Saxons, they were the real Jews of the Bible and blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that. Or you can do the black Israelite version of that, etc. But you've got to kind of cope with that profound ambivalence at the heart of a religion. And I understand that. So I don't think you can separate, I don't think he's going to be criticizing Jewish power or Zionism or et cetera. I mean, he will criticize them, but I don't think it's really, it's not leading where I think that should go. And so I'm not quite on board, but you can be on board. It's okay. And
not quite. What do you mean? You're a little on board though, aren't you? Just slightly.
I'm trying to be as fair as possible to Kanye because it's so easy just to denounce people and to scapegoat them. And so I will say about him, he's deeply sincere. I'm a little.
You're a little
on the board.
You're a little.
But they might kick me off.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'll just observe.
I'm here. I'm Richard Spencer.
Richard Spencer supports Kanye West. Headline CNN. Oh my God, they're outside of his house now.
Off the board.
All right, let me play this. Let me play this super chats. Holy shit! Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're not on board. Never mind. All right, let me play this.
Ultros 668 sent $3. Richard is right about Elon. He constantly overpromises and underdelivers. He is the apex of hustle, grind, billionaire entrepreneur worship that plagues American corporate culture. Look at the operating profit on Tesla. Shit is straight up fake.
All right, now, what do you say? You can follow up on that if you want.
I don't think I need to. Yeah, Tesla is probably the least fraudulent of the companies, and even that is overvalued beyond comprehension. The Neuralink stuff, I'm sorry, I'm just going to call fraud on all this stuff.
The brain chips and all that.
Yeah, what kind of fucking interface are we dealing with here? And secondly, they've reproduced experiments. There's a lot of stuff on this. I would look, some of these skeptics from yesteryear, like 2014 Twitter, like Thunderfoot and whatever. Yeah. And I know you guys can say, oh, he's cringe. Okay, fine.
Are you a Thunderfoot guy?
Yeah. He's my
Gamergate compatriot.
They are going after Elon like they went after fundamentalist Christians. And I've watched a lot of their stuff, and they point to articles that I've read. I'm just calling fraud on the whole thing. I think it might very well come cascading downward as the Tesla stock goes down, and he has to service debt at very high rates that he can't manage. And as he sells more Tesla stock, he drives down the price, and the whole thing blows up. And next thing you know, we're dealing with the Elon trial of the century, where, yeah, I think it's going to be. I do think he's a fraud.
Thunderfoot was part of Gamergate.
He was.
The internet sensation.
He was a big part of it.
That's right. That's right. I remember Gamergate. Oh, they said the guy. We'll bring that up here in a minute. I had a little hand in that too. Now let me play these.
Boogly Woogly sent $3. It has only been a week since he took over. Even if we're still routinely culled, Elon preventing election fuckery is invaluable.
Well, we'll see. Look, man, again, anytime I'm negative too, some people get mad at me. Look, we'll see. I'm just saying I'm not thrilled with him, being the Pied Piper for Yoel Roth, the guy who, just go look at his tweets. Even if you're a normie tier conservative, he's talked a lot of shit about Trump voters. He banned a lot of people. It wasn't just the people spamming the N-word, by the way. They banned a ton of people, and it wasn't, that wasn't the whole tenor of the bannings, right? Now, look, I knew that was going to cause some kind of blowback with the way people were acting, but that's not just who all they cleared out there. That was indiscriminate banning, and if they're going to keep defending stuff like that, it's like, well, then things really haven't changed that much. Now, I know it's only been a few days. That's true. That's very true. But that was very
stuff. Similar. I agree that they should not have suppressed the Hunter Biden stuff. And I also think it might very well be true that was the product of Russian hackers who put it out there. Because that whole story about the repairman, I don't buy it. It just seems a little too weird and conveniently weird. But so there was a motive behind it all. I also don't think it's necessarily true that Biden would have lost the election with the Hunter Biden stuff. And a lot of these guys, like MAGA guys that, they're like showing dick pics of Hunter Biden or showing him like screwing prostitutes. They're like, oh, look at this. Like, we've uncovered it all or whatever. It's like, that might help Joe Biden.
Yeah, but like it's just a clear example though of their bullshit, right? It's not even that it would have necessarily swung the election, although maybe.
I agree with that sentiment basically. And if he stops that, okay, but
if you believe in the integrity of the election, by the way, I know some people. Now there are a lot of people who don't, which you can talk about that too if you'd like. But go ahead.
Well, show me the evidence of election fraud. I think I said what I want to say about that. I agree. Fundamentally, I agree that not allowing discussion of the laptop from hell was absolutely like leaning on the scale, like putting your thumb on the scale, going all in for Democrats. Of course it was. But that doesn't mean that there's, a whole lot of there. I mean, it's like a corrupt fail son of a vice president. Like if I were son of a vice president, I might also
you might do a little dabbling yourself. Is that what you
I might also develop a coke problem. It just is what it is. I'm not, I don't know. Like
imagine being the son of the vice president, like the already worthless position, basically. Yeah. And you're the son of that guy.
Son of a fail son. Yeah. But I mean, like out here, I don't like Ryan Zinke, but like out here, I was just there's this like controversy about a land deal and Whitefish that Zinke. Yeah. I don't like Ryan Zinke to begin with, but I'm just reading this and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. He's a bit corrupt. Like,
wasn't he the guy? Whatever. Is that the guy? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, he's the one who made the Secretary of the Interior. The reason I remember him, and I knew him before then, but he was the Secretary of the Interior, and he brought back like all these, like he did like a really intricate seal redesign or something, and something in his office. Like he rolled around like he was the damn fucking, Secretary of Defense or some shit like that, basically.
Right.
And
it's
had
what
all
I
this.
would do as well.
No, it was sick. No, I was sitting there reading, and I was like, no, he didn't necessarily, although I think The Office was a little exorbitant what he spent to redesign that. But like they were talking about the seal redesign that he had and like the sick rings he was giving out and shit. And that was all like part of their tradition, but they just kind of stopped doing this sort of thing, and he like revived it all. I just remember this article and they wrote about him like he was Pol Pot or something, by the way. It was like
exactly. It's funny. My mother grew up in Louisiana, and I remember she was talking to people and they were talking about like a corrupt politician. And my mother, who grew up in Louisiana, she was like, he took bribes? Like, well, yeah,
obviously
he's
he
a
took
politician. Thus,
I hope he took the right bribes. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. They're like, but what is your critique of this person? I don't mean to be like cynical. I just, I'm not a Ryan Zinke supporter. I actually read about this thing as a dutiful citizen, and I'm just like, all right, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, it was a stretch, but you just assume. He's a politician, right? Yeah, I think. I don't know, especially in Louisiana. Yeah, exactly. All right, now let's see. Let me make sure. I see anonymous. This one came in. It's just short, good stuff. We'll go through some of these. These are from the beginning still.
Anonymous sent $3. Good stuff.
Good stuff. I agree. Thank you.
Hebrew GB sent $3. Will Richard admit that Nick was correct every step of the way?
Will you admit that? I don't think so, but if you want. All right, now, what about your chat with him? We'll follow back up on that real quick. What did you think about talking to him?
Well, it was surprised. It's funny. I didn't know he was in there. I was going to bed and there was a space going on, and it had like a few hundred listeners or something. So I just kind of clicked on out of curiosity, and then I heard Nick's voice. I was like, oh God. But I have noticed on Spaces, not to be too egomaniacal here, but whenever I go on a space, within like 30 seconds, they'll be like, oh, Spencer's on here, get up here as a speaker or whatever. It does happen a lot. But anyway, I spoke to him. I was kind of, it was funny. I thought he might just do his thing, but I will say this about Nick. So Nick definitely far, far better than I am, knows how to kind of like develop an audience. And, he's more like, quote, pragmatic in that sense. Fair enough. I do have a lot of problems with him, but I do find a lot of the shtick kind of annoying. That being said, when I spoke to him, he could tell that I was not there to get into a flame war. Like, I've seen some of these debates he's got in with people, AmeriCorps or whatever the fuck that was. And it's just this like endless personal attack. And, it's nasty. And I'm not into that. And so I just spoke with him. And I do think that, there is a person there. Like I whatever major problems I have with Nick, he actually is a smart guy, like kind of behind it all. And so I was happy that we spoke. And, I'll speak to anyone, and, you can let bygones be bygones. There's no need to hold grudges or whatever. But so, yeah, it was a surprising and positive thing.
Well, you know what? I was glad to see it too. And I think both you guys are thoughtful guys, entertaining guys, of course. And just you're going to be around still for a while longer too. And it's good that you could have a conversation and hopefully more conversations. All right, now let me play some more of these.
I'll say that afterward.
Okay.
Richard Spencer sent $3. I've had some good burgers in my time. I love a good Swiss, melted Swiss cheese and roasted mushrooms and caramelized onions on a burger. That is hot stuff. You can get that at a number of different places.
That's what I've heard.
Please explain to me this meme, because, it's a weird meme, because the whole I like Swiss burgers, you can find that at many different places. It's kind of a funny phrasing, I'll admit.
It's the way you said it, yeah.
But like, what are they doing? Like, I stand behind those comments. It's like, yes.
You know like what it is though? It's you can find that at a number of different places, and it's like, yeah, of course you can. It's a mushroom Swiss burger.
Phrasing?
No, it's just like, it's just the way you put it too. It's like so definitive and declarative. It's like, yeah, you know what? You can. Mushroom Swiss is delicious. I think a lot of people agree with that too. So they like mushroom Swiss. It's just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of tired of it at this point, but whenever I hear it, I'm just like, yes.
Top-notch establishment will have a mushroom Swiss burger, right? If you can't find it, you need to talk to the maitre d'. All right, now, okay, there's a couple more. It did kind of catch on in a way that's unbelievable. Yeah, I'll agree.
Anonymous sent $3. Will Richard be doing No Nut November?
What the fuck?
So that's refraining from masturbation for a month. No comment on that.
All right. Wait, what is this? Oh, this is about Hunter Biden. Okay. Let's see. Go ahead.
Anonymous sent $3. There were prepubescent children dressed like streetwalkers in his hotel room on his laptop.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
But it doesn't.
I didn't know that either.
That doesn't sound good. All right, now let's see this.
Not good.
Not good. That's right. Bad optics. All right.
I can't stand Thundercuck, but he does make convincing anti-Elon arguments. TBH sent $3.
All right, now let's
Yeah.
see. I can't remember. I don't think we played that one. Let me look. No, we played that one. Oh, wait. Here we go. There's a couple on Yay that I don't think we got.
David sent $10. Also, what are your thoughts on you blowing the German Shepherd whistle much more brazenly than Trump for his presidential run? Do you think this will cement his win as president as being the true rogue?
No, I mean, a lot of assumptions in there I don't agree with. Whether Trump himself is anti-Semitic seems exceedingly doubtful. I mean, his family is now connected to the Kushners, and his daughter has converted to Judaism, which is quite rare, kind of rare gesture. So the assumption that Trump would do anything like that, and the assumption that, you engage in kind of casual and base anti-Semitism and you win over the I don't agree with that assumption. I don't agree with much of anything there.
You think that's gonna? All right, now let me.
He might have won for president. I could see that.
He should run on the Democrat side.
It's not like that would be that.
He should run on the Democrat side, I think, and try to get the black vote. Yeah, that's what I think he should do. All right.
Adolwolf sent $3. I warned everyone on Elon. He teased Man United fans for years that he might free us from the Glazers, only to smugly chuckle and say he was just joking. This is all
funny.
for attention. I don't think he has any real plans for Twitter.
Yeah, but he's got to do
Mark
something.
my words.
I don't know. He's got to do something. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if this one played. That was about yay too.
David sent $10. Thoughts on Ye's tactic of let's place less emphasis on history and move forward as a positive message to unite people and thus lessening the propaganda impact of their Holocaust message? It's using their positive love angle against them.
What do you think about that? Positive love.
I don't know what I think about that.
Right.
What exactly is he suggesting?
Talking about, I don't know, that he's using their positivity message against them, that he's saying his message is about love and it's counteracting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he's a deeply Christian. I don't think you can separate his Christianity from what he's saying. I think that's deeply embedded in it all. And it's not in that way. It's not that surprising. It's coming from somewhere. It's not just like, I don't think it's merely about he had a bad experience with the Jewish ad executive or something. I think it's much deeper and kind of theological for him.
All right, let me hit this one. Oh.
The Thin Red Line sent $3. How is the Biden administration coming along? Spencer and the famous Democrat efficiency.
Go ahead.
I don't think the Biden administration is that bad. And I do think that inflation it's a global phenomenon. It is worse in other peer countries like Great Britain. So it just is what it is. But the notion that this is, generated by Biden's policies is wrong. And he actually has policies. I don't know what to say. I wish I would have seen some of the, at least some of the kind of things that he's promoted under Trump. So no, I don't. I do think that this whole situation is like coinciding with Biden, and I don't blame him for it. Although surely there are better people that could be running the country, of course, but I simply don't blame him for it.
All right, let's see. We kind of talked about a lot already, but the second part at least.
Arnim Zola sent $3. Richard Spencer comeback tour soon? Also thoughts on Kanye naming the Jew?
Kind of got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the Kanye stuff a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have a comeback tour. I would love to go speak to audiences. I really would. I would like nothing better than to do the college tour that resembled Texas A&M and Auburn, where I actually really got to speak to college audiences. I loved it. And there's nothing I would rather do. But yeah, we're going to have to get some financing and lawyers behind that. I mean, it takes a lot. And so much of the alt-right in that period was just like shooting from our hip and just flying blind in a way. And that just can't happen. And we can't have a situation where, and again, this is actually something I mentioned that Nick mentioned, and I agreed with him. It's almost like Antifa has kind of faded into the woodwork.
They have, yeah, and I hadn't thought about that until you guys talked about it, and they kind of have, especially as far as the street violence and intimidation goes and stuff like that. Yeah, they kind of have.
But I don't want a situation where I go on campus and then someone dies because there's some horrible fight between. It's just fucking awful. I don't want to be. I'm not an excuse for other people to get into street fights. And so it does pain me in a way that I can't
that's
do,
kind of fun,
like
though,
the
right?
Jordan Peterson thing.
That's exciting though that you caused that much.
I know it is, but trust me, there's blowback and it gets too edgy.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. The thought of it, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's kind of cool, but yeah, I could see it having some effects in other places. Plus, just on your mind, it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool for
and if
a
it's
weekend.
just a fist fight, I mean, whatever, like that's. I think that was like the edginess of the alt-right. It's like, oh, you punch Spencer, I'm going to punch you, whatever. Okay, it's not great, but look, there are fist fights at football games every Saturday and Sunday. There are tons of fist fights at football games. It's part of the whole thing. And if you're doing something bigger, if you're actually sending a message, there's that is kind of, it doesn't need to happen. It doesn't need to happen. And it's not a direct result. It's kind of coinciding. You know what I mean? There is obviously it might not have happened if you weren't there, but it's a kind of way of saying, look, I'm here, I'm bold, I'm saying something controversial, and these two guys got into a fist fight, whatever. Once it just gets out of control, you just can't do it. And that's just the story of 2017. It just can't. I don't know what to say. There's nothing I would like more than to go on stage and talk about stuff and reach people and send a message. There's nothing I want more than that. But whether that's possible in this day and age, it's totally unfair, but it just seems a little bit impossible at the moment. But maybe we just need a little more time.
1300 live. Richard Spencer here on the Kill Stream. Let's hit this. I got a couple topics of my own.
Anonymous sent $3. Ralph, you should try to get Spencer and Stephen Bonnell to have a conversation since they are both shills.
Well, that's not
Who's
nice.
Stephen Bonnell?
That's Destiny, which I have tried to set that up before.
Yeah. I'll do Destiny. I'll have a. Someone was trying to get me to have a debate with Destiny, and he agreed with my premise.
Well, you guys used to be, when I originally thought of it, you were more adversarial, I guess, toward his position, and now it's like, what are we going to debate on? In a certain,
I'll debate him. We can find something.
I was thinking we could find something too, but it just didn't spring to mind immediately. Let's see. Glad to see. Okay, go ahead.
Anonymous sent $3 Griata seja ubach konti KILLSTREAM. Would love to see less grudge holding and infecting.
Would love to see less grudge holding and more.
Test Super Chat sent $3. Hey Spencer.
Oh shit, I accidentally turned that off. Sorry. That was my fault. Go.
Test Super Chat sent $3. Hey Spencer. Kanye Ye Elon Twitter Trump Biden Ukraine Nick Fuentes Cozy Ali Jamal 2023 2024.
I don't know about that.
Is that a political campaign?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's quite a coalition.
Josh the Remover sent $3, so I take it you no longer think Nick is hollow and wicked?
Well,
I
kind of think some of his shtick is not what I like. But I want to actually be fair to everyone, and I disagree with him on a lot of things. But is there someone behind the mask who's genuine? I think there is. That's what I.
Arnhem Zola sent $3. Spencer Cozy Channel.
Spencer and Cozy?
No, I don't think so. That would be
Spencer and Cozy.
Anonymous sent $5 to Rich. Those on Andrew Anglin.
Thoughts on Anglin?
I have to say, I don't think I would repeat what I just said about Nick with Anglin. I think he's a malign actor.
All right,
and I really dislike his shtick, like profoundly dislike it. But I think behind it, there's a real malign force.
All right, now let me play this. This is strange. I don't even know what this means, but.
Giga Ninja sent $3. Where are you on the classy question? Are you for or against clown girl pussy?
I didn't realize that was a thing. Clown girl pussy. A really attractive clown girl. Would you?
Clown girl. I'm just imagining a hot chick dressed as a clown.
Dressed as a clown. It does bring it down a few notches, though, doesn't it? Like a really hot
weird.
chick. Yeah, it's like a little strange. It brings the hotness down a little bit. All right, now let me switch views here. What about the Russian war? Oh, wow. Here goes another one. Sorry. Awakening. Thank you. I forgot that the killstream.live/tip wasn't turned on, but it is on this panel. What about this? This says Putin has Parkinson's. I don't know. I'm pressing next out there, but that's what they're pushing in the media today. What do you think about that? And then what do you think about the war in general, the war in Ukraine? You support Ukraine, of course.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about his health, and I think there might be something to the speculation that the COVID isolation kind of changed him in a way, kind of gave him a resolve and so on. I think there might be something to that. If he is sick and ending his life, that might also give him some resolve. He genuinely wanted to be a great man of Russia. Yeah, I mean, look, I could rehash some things I've said before. I don't think Putin is irrational. I don't think he's a madman or something like this. The Ukraine question has been there, and these huge differences that you see between Gorbachev, Yeltsin, Putin, they all agreed on one thing, and that is that the Ukraine question needs to be answered, and that allowing it out of the grasp of the Russian sphere was a huge problem. So I think he is acting rationally, but this whole thing has just been a extreme strategic miscalculation. I mean, he has expanded NATO. There might very well be nuclear weapons stationed in Finland after this is done. He's given NATO a reason for being, and he's reinvigorated it. And I don't know how you can really plausibly argue that this has been good for Russia. It is the Russian society, in terms of the people that have left. I mean, there's estimates of losing 1% of the population just due to this thing. And there's no doubt that he's lost quite a bit of the, not so much 1%, but the kind of 10% of the professional class of doctors, lawyers, teachers, journalists, publishers, whatever. And that's a big problem. I mean, it's going to be a plutocratic society in the real sense of the word. It is going to be about, like Pluto, pulling gems out of the ground and selling them. And that is a huge problem. And again, he's announced that himself. This was months ago, of like, we'll spit out these people like flies. They were never truly loyal. So he's definitely gone into a place that, is actually pretty surprising when you think of the image that Putin cut 20 years ago, where he was riding around in a pickup truck with George W. Bush and giving speeches in Germany at the Adenauer Center, basically talking about some kind of reasonable accommodation or even togetherness. And he has pushed them in a way that, the current Cold War and demonization of Russia, rightly or wrongly, is more intense than it was during the 70s and 80s. So, I mean, I think it is going to be an absolute catastrophe. And I do think that it seems like some kind of escalation is in the cards. And I don't know what that will be, but we live in a hyper polarized society in the United States. And so everyone is extremely political. And in fact, even when people talk about like movies, they get political. Like, what was Black Adam? That was a conservative film. Or like, The Last Jedi, I was liberal. Like we're hyper politicized about everything. And Russia is very different. Russia is a kind of depoliticized society where, let's say, 60% of the population just doesn't even think about politics. They've just kind of outsourced. It's like, Putin's good, he's strong, I won't think about it, I'm not going to really have an opinion on it.
Right.
And when he breaks that social contract, I don't know how he can survive. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know where exactly this is going, but he's reinvigorated his enemies. He's put himself in a precarious situation with his own population, and everything that I see seems to point towards some kind of escalation. Now, whether that's going to be a tactical nuke or I'm not sure, but he's going to have to escalate this thing. He's in for well over a penny, and thus he's in for a pound. He can't lose this thing. Now, he can't walk away.
Has the West been wise, though, to make this like a all-out proxy war, basically, and to risk nuclear war, pretty much over Ukraine? If the nukes start flying, there'll be a lot of people who will retract a lot of words if they're even alive. Is the idea of nuclear war over Ukraine even anywhere near the island of sanity? Because I don't think so.
Well, no risk it, no biscuit. We're members of NATO. I obviously agree that Ukraine's
not though.
Ukraine
that's
will
the
be
thing.
in NATO.
Well, they shouldn't be.
I think they will be. And I think this is going to really dramatically diminish
at that point, then Russia should just launch a nuke. Then, if you're just going to do that, then if I'm Russia, I just let the nukes fly, because there's no other way to settle the score. Honestly, they're just going to keep encroaching on you. They're going to keep being dishonest. They're going to keep adding countries when they said they weren't going to. Well, if that's the case, then just let the nukes fly.
But
that's not good.
I don't know what to say. This is the great game, and it's the geopolitical game, and we're in it.
Well, that's terrible. That's a terrible outcome, though, don't you think? Over Ukraine? First off, anytime that's the outcome, that's bad. But this is a dangerous game, though. Shouldn't be happening.
It is a dangerous game, but maybe the West needs to understand itself and define itself, and the only way that can happen is when the fear of death is in the air.
Well, 300 million people die, and it's all well and good to come on the kill stream and to tweet out some things, but 300 million people dead is not all well and good. I don't, I don't think it'll be met with the same laugh if that actually goes down.
Don't you feel like the world kind of has more meaning when we're in this titanic struggle? What would you rather have?
But we're not, though. That's
serious
the thing.
Struggle. Over ideas and bullets, or watching TikTok videos.
But we're not in that. World War II was a titanic struggle. This is some bullshit Ukraine fucking shit that doesn't even matter to us at all. And you could argue about World War II.
But it matters to Europe, and we're deeply connected to Europe via NATO. We said Europe matters. We are in this.
There's not 2% of the U.S. populace who would support a nuclear war over Ukraine. I can't imagine.
No one supports a nuclear war, and I don't think this is going to eventuate into a nuclear war.
I hope not, but the fact that that's even a discussion, I think, is a problem, and people are a little too loose, and maybe there is a miscalculation. You said it yourself. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's we're in it. We've made this commitment. Europe matters more than anywhere else. And, it does matter. In the sense of don't you believe that whatever the problems of decadence and so on are in contemporary European society, you would rather live in that kind of society than in whatever the Soviet Union offered and whatever in the hell Russia is now offering. They're offering Soviet drudgery without even the ideology and hope for.
But you're talking like Ukraine's the heart of Europe. It's not. It's barely even.
It's the gateway to the East.
It's Russia is what it is. And, there's a reason. That's what it is. It's Russia. And there's a reason that they're so belligerent about Ukraine, because it's in their sphere of influence. And the fact that we're meddling over there is what caused this problem in the first place.
Ukrainians, you can say this is a proxy war, but you shouldn't imply that Ukrainians are robots and, the CIA is controlling them with a joystick. They committed themselves to a fight to the death over this. And you can say is there historical precedent for thinking about Ukrainians as Russians? Of course there is. But they have defined themselves through blood and struggle. And that is how you define. They are no longer Russians. And you have to.
Well, we had a lot of
deeply
blood and
respect
struggle
that.
during the U.S. Civil War too, and one side won or lost. I mean, I don't know. It's like, okay,
And we
people
all
can
became
kill each
Americans.
other. I'm just saying they can kill each other,
mean,
right?
kinda.
Like, I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. Do we? I don't know.
I mean, but I mean, there is something. This is actually in Ken Burns, but I believe this is historically accurate. There was a sense that people said these United States before the Civil War, and after that they said a singular the United States. So even the language changed, and Putin actually engaged in a lot of linguistic politics, you could say, with Ukraine, with prepositions. So official documents, they would basically say they are on the Ukraine as opposed to in Ukraine. So it was kind of treating it as a suburb, which is kind of what the word Ukraine actually means. But again, you define yourself through struggle. And Ukrainians have defined themselves as as a nation first, but then also as part of the West through this heroic struggle that they've engaged in. And Europe does matter. We're in it. It matters more than really any place in the world.
You could call it a heroic struggle, or you could say they've kind of been used as a patsy by the West to fight Russia, and that they've been provoking Russia for, I don't know, years and years and years through Ukraine, and that this is just a natural conclusion of that. And now they're all in a full proxy war and down to the last Ukrainian, and they don't give a fuck. There's no off-ramps for Russia. That's the real problem. Like, I don't really see any off-ramps here. And, I hope the nukes don't fly, but literally at a certain point, it's like, well, what else is going to happen? Like, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen, but I could see Putin launching a nuke on Ukraine for sure. Like, I mean, I don't think that's out of the question.
Yeah, I think it's in the realm of possibilities. Yes. And it wasn't a year ago,
No,
nuclear war
I would
a year
say,
ago. That's a ridiculous concept. Now it's a serious issue, but maybe we need to get more serious.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I just rather not see a nuclear war. I don't know. I just don't see a lot of hope on this. But we'll probably be talking about it some more going forward. Let me play these super chats. I'm going to keep you all night. Always a fun time with Richard Spencer here on the KILLSTREAM. All right, let me go ahead.
NATO is worthless than $3 Titanic struggle. This is a faggot in a t-shirt that will just move to America with his rich gay friends when the nukes start flying. At this point, Africa and Pakistan have more in common with Europe than America does. Pull out of NATO now.
Now, I know you're a big NATO guy.
This is just ridiculous.
Defend NATO.
Come on. These guys have never been to Europe. I mean, give me a break.
I actually have been to Europe a few times. I do enjoy Europe. I don't really think of Ukraine when I think of Europe, though, to be honest with you. But
no, I mean, no. What do you think of Germany or France?
Yeah, France, Spain. I've been to England and Spain and Portugal. I would consider all those kind of card carrying members of Europe. You've been probably to more than I have.
I would say this though. I hear this a lot in terms of the Europe's just decadent or it's gay or whatever. Keep in mind that Russia does not want what is best for the West, understandably, in a way, in the sense that they view NATO as an armed alliance against them, understandably, in a way. They do not want to promote like trad values in the West or something like that. They want absolute chaos in the West. They do not want what is best for you. You might very well want or have a fantasy about what Russian society is like or want the best for Russia. Fair enough, but they do not want the same for you. They absolutely view you as an enemy. And that is how they define themselves as a civilization, and a civilization, according to Vladimir Putin, which is not white.
All right, now let's see here. Now, you used to be more pro-Russia. We talked about this a little bit, just because I remember we did a big segment on this, I think. But just distill quickly, or more concisely down why you changed your view on that.
I think I probably had a similar view to maybe a lot of your listeners, in the sense that I was kind of fed up with the West, and I think I projected a lot of fantasies onto Russia as somehow resisting that. And I've been disabused of those. I would say that when I was a lot younger, I did think like this when I was doing a lot of study on my own of the Cold War and so on. But put aside, yeah, I was kind of publicly pro-Putin. I mean, I think there was a chant of Russia is our friend or something like that at Charlottesville. So I mean, I get it. And yeah, there was a lot of the ex-wife stuff in that. And you know, when you're around someone who's fanatically Russian, you rubs off. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I would say that once this conflict started, even like a year ago, and I think it was like December when troops were amassing and so on, I had changed it then. And then when the invasion happened last February, it was real clear for me. But yeah, I have more hope for the West in the sense that we're going to be engaging in a conflict. I think that's in a way what we need for sanity and self-definition.
All right, now let me play. Oh, let me fix that. Why is it doing that? Okay, I'll fix that somehow. All right, let me play this one. I'll fix it while this plays. The Windows got me. Okay, let's see. Go.
Disco Elysium sent $3 authority, godly, success, dawning twilight seeping through the dangerously hissing reeds, as a knife was slicing off another scalp off the battlefield's victims. Spencer, bleeding from his head, silently wept as Ralph was claiming victory.
All right, now thank you, Disco Elysium. All right, now he does have some awesome super chats. All right, go ahead, Gray Bar Disrespector. Why won't it play? Oh, because I turned it off. That's why. Now go. Also, I'm going to Havana soon, Richard. I'll have to talk to you about
Gray
that.
Bar Disrespector sent $3 supports Ukraine. Didn't know why Hunter's laptop was damning. Thinks he is crazy. Thinks Biden administration is doing a good job. Didn't recount his wicked and hollow statement. And now he's advocating for open nuclear conflict. Holy shit.
On that.
You're going to Havana?
Yeah, I'm going to Havana later this month.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've always wanted
Is it on vacation or?
Yeah, I'm just going for vacation. I'm going to be there for Thanksgiving, actually, in Havana.
Oh, wow. That's quite a time.
Yeah, in Havana. I always wanted to go because they told you couldn't. Well, kind of told you you couldn't go. There are ways to go, of course. That's how I'm going. But they do.
Canada or something?
They do. Well, I won't give away my route. You can fly directly from the United States too, though. But there are other ways flying into different countries, et cetera, too, which some say are easier. But you can go to Cuba. Like, it's not this off-limits thing. It's just a little complicated from the U.S. because they make it that way. Bam, biggity, bam. Please don't use that exact word in the super chats. Go ahead.
Cagmike sent $3. What does Richard say to the multi-billions of dollars sent by the U.S. that's unaccounted for and yet we continue to send billions more? Is he okay with that? The amount lost is ridiculous. Ukraine is a money laundering piggy bank.
Unaccounted for. I mean, we're sending the money that they're spending on American weapons. I mean, that's what's happening. And I'm sure you could find corruption in there. And there's no question that Ukraine was massively corrupt. None of these things are disputable. But the idea that, what are they fighting with? I don't know what to say. I mean, they're Americans printing money and giving it to Ukraine, and they're buying back weapons from American companies. That's what's happening. It is what it is.
All right, now let's see. Okay, Gray Bar. I think we played those. There's a few more. NATO is worthless. That is a good screen name. What about this?
Hebrew GB sent $3. Is the RU localization of the Borderlands games called Ukraine?
I don't know. Is it? Not sure about that.
Bob H sent $3. I shouldn't think that the CIA is controlling Ukraine. Nigga, the Jews are controlling Ukraine.
What do you say to that Jewish influence in Ukraine?
This notion that I mean, look, what is Israel's views on Ukraine been? They've actually been pretty moderate or even cryptic. Bibi Netanyahu got in trouble on CNN for palling around with Putin and saying he wants to pursue Israel's self-interest. I think optically, Israel has some problems denouncing the Russian invasion because people can just slap back at them. Well, you're against occupation. Is that what you're saying? So they're going to be quiet about it, I think, for that simple reason. The idea that like the Jews are doing this is just kind of delusional or vastly overstated. And I think it's been interesting how, Israel has basically not taken a side in the way that Europe has. It's a different type of conflict. But again, there's this stereotype of if you're serious about Jewish influence and power, you think that Jews caused male pattern baldness and Jews made your car break down and, Jews made you late for the movie at the movie theater. I mean, you can't just endlessly see everything like that, particularly when there's no evidence for it.
Also, you mentioned Netanyahu. Shockingly,
did he win?
Yes, he's going to be prime minister again, apparently, Richard, which is just unbelievable.
The status quo indefinitely. That is Netanyahu in a nutshell.
How in the world? You talk. I really detest Netanyahu, but I do have a certain begrudging respect for him too, because it's impossible not to. It's like, what the fuck? How? Like he's doing it again. It's like Berlusconi, except even crazier. Because at least Berlusconi's a little bit more in the wings now.
Homo Trolleus and the Trolleus clan sent $10 Happy All Saints Day to Ethan Ralph, his entire family, and to all of my Grow Hyper army. Stay focused. Stay resilient. Stay steadfast. Always be prepared and always do what is best under God's natural law. Make positive consequences /
Now, thank you. I'll come back and play your song after we get Richard out of here because there's a couple more questions. And I will play your song for sure. Thank you, Homo Charlies. I appreciate you, brother. And happy All Saints Day to you as well. Now this
is Reformation Day yesterday.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Let's see. What about this?
Whitey Gatorade sent $3 man. Imagine a Nick, Dawson, Destiny, Spencer Russia-Ukraine panel.
That would be pretty good, actually. Dawson here. He had Eddie Bravo on last night, I saw on cozy.tv/Dawson. Let's see.
Laugh sent $3 funny that Spencer kinda agrees with EMJ. EMJ says Jews used blacks and now they are Frankenstein's monster on the loose.
What do you think about that? Any thoughts at all? Or?
Well, I didn't say that. I guess maybe you could pick that out from what I said about. What I said is that Kanye's comments need to be understood in the context of his deeply sincere Christianity and ambivalences that go along with that. But I think those are ambivalences that E. Michael Jones would certainly have. I mean, E. Michael Jones can be the anti-Semite's anti-Semite. He's still worshiping Yahweh and a Jewish
the anti-Semite's anti-Semite. What the fuck? He's like the gold standard, isn't he? All right, now let me play this. This is not.
Oh my God, he was radicalized by Gamergate.
You saw that? Yeah. What do you? Yeah,
I didn't see that. I did see that he had like. He had kind of alt-right or dissident right opinions and Q opinions as well. I did see that.
Man behind Pelosi hammer attack was radicalized by Gamergate. And there was one line where he said, how did I get into all this? Gamergate. It was Gamergate. That's what he said. Now it was radicalized by Gamergate.
Is he also a nudist or was that like was that fake news?
No, he is a nudist.
Okay.
Do you think he was there giving the business to Paul Pelosi or what was going on there?
I mean, look, even if that's true, that doesn't mean that he didn't also attack him for Q reasons. So, I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but you gotta, show me some evidence for that. There are a lot of people who have lost their minds. I mean, at the beginning, we forget about this, but I mean, like the Comet Pizza thing was invaded by some dude who wanted to go down to the basement. There was a guy who held up like a dam at one point on behalf of Q. I mean, J6. I mean, the last words of Ashley Babbitt were quoting or last words on camera, rather, were quoting Q's drop about the storm is here. I mean, this, this stuff really does affect people's minds. And I do think that a lot of Americans have really lost it. And they're super into this. They're living in a kind of like isolated bubble of their Facebook group or what have you, and it's bad. So the fact that this guy did this, I mean, I'm not terribly surprised when he's around people who think that Nancy Pelosi is like drinking children's blood or whatever.
He said he was going to break Nancy's
situation.
Break Nancy's kneecaps.
Allegedly, that's what he wanted to do, apparently. Yeah, break her. So not kill her, I guess, just break her kneecaps.
He's hard-hitting motherfucker is what I call him earlier. He's old school, I guess. That's some mafia shit right there.
Spood sent $4. Spencer says we get into the weeds about Jews being responsible for the most innocuous grievances, but without Jews we wouldn't be subjected to these insufferable ridges on our coins. He's carrying water.
Are you carrying water?
No, I'm being rational. I mean, look, the work that Mark and I are doing right now, I mean, this is a very serious and very critical account of Judaism and so on. I mean, we're really going after it, but I'm also, there is a kind of knee-jerk anti-Semitism where you just kind of blame them for everything, or blame, I remember when I was a kid, it was the Jewish jokes are about them being cheap, like, how do you lose a Jewish cop? You take the toll road, or, hardy har har. That's kind of funny, but, and it's just a light, I don't care. I'm not offended by any of that. It's just light humor, but it also kind of misunderstands the situation pretty profoundly. And so, no, I mean, I'm not going to just, I know there's this kind of victimization of just feeling yourself like utterly powerless, and you have these guys with remote controls controlling the world or something. It's a kind of indulgence in this conspiracy mindset. I don't like it, and I don't think it's true. Most importantly.
All right, now let's see. There's a couple more questions. I'll play a couple of comments after. Go ahead.
Lol sent $3. If anyone is waxing poetic about anything, it's you coping about Europe. The Euros have given up. I've hiked through numerous European countrysides and it's all white, which is nice, but Paris looks like fucking Mogadishu at this point.
What do you say about that?
It's not true. That's just simply not true. Inner Paris looks like Paris, actually. I don't doubt that there are huge immigrant communities in these places, but you can say the same thing about America. I mean, I don't know what to say. We just give it all up and we embrace like a plutocratic society of Russia as like our saviors or whatever. Give me a break.
Let's see. Okay, you might agree with this one. I think you may have been to Russia.
Get Great sent $3. I've been to Russia. Once you get away from the touristy place, it's a shithole. Putin doesn't give a shit about his people. They buy hair in every backwater town for Western thoughts extensions, and Russian girls whore themselves halfway around the world.
That's not right.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but he is getting at something.
What is he getting at? What do you say? What's it like in Russia? You've been to Russia.
Yes, and there is a huge difference between living in St. Petersburg or Moscow and living outside of it. It is huge problems. I don't see any possibility of creating a society that's productive, where there's a civil society and so on. I mean, there is a lot of depressing aspects about it. And I don't say this someone who's Russophobic or hates Russians or something. It's the opposite. But yeah, there are just huge problems, and there doesn't seem to be any idea or commitment to create something that is better. And I would not underestimate. I mean, you can hate on like suburban white liberals or lawyers, I hate lawyers too, but lawyers and professionals and all this kind of stuff, when they are abandoning the society, that is a terrible thing.
Before I let you go and let you give your particulars here at the end, the COVID, I saw you shared this. I read it in Vanity Fair, but I think it was a co-production with ProPublica. It looks like you shared it from over there. I think they published it on both outlets. Basically, cat is out of the bag, and we knew this the whole time. If you had any sense that this was from the Wuhan virology lab.
Yeah, I mean, look, I read, oh God, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but he, about a year and a half ago, he actually wrote that race book, a kind of a troublesome question, I believe. What is his name? I can't remember. He wrote for the New York Times, and he was always good on politically incorrect issues, actually. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Anyway, he wrote a long article about this about a year and a half ago. And I am not an expert in these realms, but I was convinced by it. And it's now, I mean, this was like the initial findings of is it a congressional committee? Is that what it is?
So they had basically been let in. It was a Senate committee, I think. Yeah, Senate team. And they had been let in early, pretty much. And they pretty much pinpointed that it came from this lab. They broke down Chinese party communiques that had been sent from the lab to the head office there.
And the Wuhan lab is like steps away from the wet market. So, I mean, look, it's, again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to like come down on one side of this issue, but whenever I read this stuff, I am more and more convinced by it. And so I do think this will be an interesting thing going forward geopolitically. And we're kind of getting back, that whole unipolar world or like globalization. That's ending. I mean, there's no way. I mean, again, this is happening under the Biden administration. And I don't know. I think there are going to be really stark divisions between spheres of people in the immediate future, actually. And I think that whole Chimerica thing, I don't know how that can be assembled in China, sold at Target. That basically arrangement that was agreed to. I don't know how you can unwind that, because that has been going on since the 90s. It's been going on pretty much my whole life, but I think it might be. And so I think we're moving into a more of a kind of Cold War world where there are going to be really stark divisions and competition and so on. And, it is what it is, but it's a necessary thing, but I would suggest it's a good thing.
Let's see. There is one more question, and then there's something. What was this? Ralph's assistant Booker. I'll play that after. You can take this, and then I'll let you go.
Bob H. sent $3. If you think Jewish power is involved in Ukraine, you must see Jews everywhere, and there's no evidence of negative Jewish influence in Ukraine. The president and prime minister of Ukraine are both Jewish. You can't just hand wave that away.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, I would hand wave that away.
I knew you were about to say that. By the way,
well, I don't know. Also, the Jew who's like said great things about the Azov battalion, I don't know what to tell you.
Also, just following back up on the last, to me, China's kind of gotten away with it, if you want to know the truth. And, I don't know if you can ever really make them pay or whatever, but this was a worldwide disaster. Now, it wasn't only because the Chinese,
so
the politicians.
It's like, how do you make them pay? What are you going to like charge them $5 trillion or whatever? I mean, it's unfathomable. I mean, but
yes.
I mean,
short answer, yes. Cancel our debt with them. I think that might be a good idea, actually.
But can we? And would this actually be a good thing? Can we basically can now a president say, I don't care what the businessmen say. These bastards created the virus, which was a mistake. I don't think they unleashed the virus to like kill themselves.
It seems like it was just incompetence, most likely.
It was incompetence, but they're lying about it. They're not fessing up. They're spreading conspiracy theories that, they
try to say we did it
in a wet lab or America or whatever. We can't deal with these people. We're going to have a 10-year plan where the iPhone is going to be made in America. And and we're moving off Chimerica. I think that is great. And sometimes you need things like this to kind of spark tremendous change. And so I don't know. It's happening. It's real. Whether I want it to happen or not, it's happening. But to be honest, I kind of do want it to happen. There needs to be enemies in the world for us to understand who we are and for us to define who we are outside of, we watch TikTok videos and eat a lot. We're America. Like you need some kind of conflict to define yourself. And so I think this is all good.
The measuring stick.
Exactly.
Richard Spencer, another great appearance on the Kill Stream. A round of applause there. Hall of Famer for sure. I appreciate you coming on.
I did follow you again. You got
That's
a little
true.
worried.
Yeah,
you were
you know
having
what?
so many feuds.
Oh, I didn't
At
tell
one
this
point,
story.
I was like,
I didn't tell this story. So I went to message him, and sometimes I don't talk to people for a while. I'm doing my daily show. And I was like, hey, let's get Richard Spencer back on, or I forget why I messaged you. I was trying to set up a debate or something. And then I was like, this guy unfollowed me. I was like, what the fuck? I was thinking that. I didn't say that. I tried to play it off. What?
Yeah. No, it wasn't any personal thing. It was just like my feed would just be like Ralph feuds, and I was like, all right.
There was. You know what? I didn't take it that personal because he was just like, I was just getting a little crazy on your feed, and I just kind of had to shake my head and say, yeah, it is a little crazy. On your feed, tell them where to find you and what you're doing, where they can check in. If they're
my Twitter feed, you know where it is, Richard B. Spencer, and then you could go to Substack. And I have conversations like this multiple times a week. It's a cool crowd. So
now, wait, can you stream on Substack?
Part.
Like, how does it work on Substack? What's going on over there? Or like, what all can you do?
I like it. I mean, I'm able to charge, like a reasonable fee, and I'm doing some publishing on there as well because it's. I was getting more clicks than I was at, Radix Journal, which is just some website. We're kind of at this like post-web world at this point. We're just like having a website. I don't know. I like it. It's good. It's a great platform, technically speaking, and I've met some great people there. So it's a good crowd, and kind of grows every day. So I like it.
Very cool. Now, what do you got in the works for the future?
Well, January is going to be big. So I'm not going to be doing much for the next couple months, but believe it or not, the Brahmin book is coming out in the first quarter of 2023. So that's going to, Apolloism all the way. It's going to piss off a lot of people. People's minds are going to be literally blown out of their heads, and it's going to be great stuff. So Mark and I will come on your show, or maybe just Mark, and we'll talk about it. And your whole, if they love to hate me, the combination of me and Mark Brahmin, that's like a love-hate bonanza.
I'm in for that 100%. Richard Spencer, always a fun time talking to you, man. I wish you the best. And if I don't talk to you for the rest of the holiday season, happy holidays, and take it easy. Enjoy yourself, and I'll be in touch soon, sir.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, have a good one, Rich. Bye. Richard Spencer, legendary Killstream guest.